Early in the 22nd century, humanity escaped from Einstein's cage. The giant ring-shaped engines of the node drive gave us the power to leap to the nearest star at many times the speed of light. After centuries of dreaming, we were finally free to leave the cradle of our homeworld. It took us years to build the Earth's first colony ship. The Nova Maria was a symbol for all mankind. Soon it was loaded with humanity's best and brightest. They prepared to depart, ready to inherit a galaxy which we had long ago decided was devoid of intelligent life. The universe was all out there for our taking. Someone should have told that to the Hivers. They came in silence. No statement of intention, no declaration of war, without even a demand for our surrender. They hit us without warning. Within seconds, our dreams of peaceful expansion were so many burning meteors falling to Earth. We barely survived the first Hiver incursion. Years later, we would find that we had faced only a small nesting fleet. We had yet to see the full power of the swarm. But the Hive was not the only threat. When we ventured forth, we soon encountered the ruthless legions of the Tarkas. And eventually, the phantom fleets of the enigmatic Lire. And so, we learned how to build bigger, stronger ships, more powerful weapons. Humanity had to explore, expand, and even conquer, just to hold our own in a universe where weakness was extinction. In order to survive, we learned to wield the Sword of the Stars.
We are the chosen ones, born of the divine. We are shaped in the image of the great masters, born to serve them in the infinite depths. We are warriors, wise men, fathers, masters. And this is the time of our ordeal, the great silence, when we will prove ourselves worthy to join the immortal gods and hear their voices once again. It took years to rise from the world of our spawning. It took decades to reap the wisdom of our first quarry. But our wiles are unlimited, and our thirst for knowledge strong. We have lain quietly in the shadows for more than a century, skulking among the darkened hulls of dead ships, raiding the periphery for slaves and secrets. We tear apart flesh and steel, mind and memory chip, seeking the spark of truth, seeking the gods of our birth. And always, we hunger for more. The time has come. We can wait no longer for the great masters to return. Our numbers increase daily. Our children hunger. Our females lust for war. This galaxy is unworthy of its gods, overrun by ignorant, arrogant slaves, mindless insects, pompous lizards, chattering apes, blaspheming rebels. It is time to teach them all their place in a great scheme. They will learn to serve their betters or die. As it was commanded, so it shall be done. We will sweep all enemies from our path. In the darkness of this galaxy, we will forge an empire of light. We will be worthy. We will find the gods wherever they are hiding. We will end their silence and become their claws once again. Born of fire, born of steel, born of science, born of blood.
Look to the skies, children of the dust, and heed my words. I am first among travelers, lord of the night sky, and leader of the clans. I am the voice of the starborn. While you crawled, we flew. While you dreamed of wings, we knew the stars. We came down to share with your ancestors, but we returned to find death. Our females slaughtered, our worlds picked over like carrion. You have laid us a banquet of sorrow. You have risen from your dark depths, your twisted tunnels, your dung-reeking cities, your pitiful nests of stone, and your fields of blood, to lay claim to the very stars. Blindly you wander, violating the tombs of my fathers, until you lose your pestilence upon my wives and daughters. And I say, enough. Real war is coming. The travelers will yield no longer to any who crawl, in land or sea. Find some other place to build your foul nests, and fight your petty battles. These stars are sacred, and they are mine. So look to the skies, children of the dust, and see my coming. I am the dragon with 1,000 wings. My people are no longer in hiding, and now we darken your skies like a murder of crows.
Hello, Tuta here, coming in, Duggan and Search to bring you a, well, we'll call it a choice video. That's loud in my ears. This is a very, very old game. Sword of the Stars. Came out in, on Steam it says 2008. That's when the expansions came out. I think it came out in actually like 2006. And you can see down there, it was the message of the day. It's about Game to Spy when it was recently purchased by a other party, and unfortunately, multiplayer is no longer existent for this game, which sucks. Anywho, this is going to be the next, hopefully the next long series on my channel. Because I can guess when Carrier Command's gonna end. End Warrior, I still gotta finish that, but that's close to the end. And I also want to do some War Game, Red Dragon. And I can tell when those are gonna end because they have set time limits. This game does not. Kind of like War on the Sea, I could guess when it might end, but there was no guarantee. And so while I wait and recuperate from War on the Sea, I want to play another game that I love. This game, it came, as I said, it came out in like 2006, and I am still finding new things in this game. And I've played forever, and I am still finding new things, new menace, new everything, and it's amazing. However, this video will not contain gameplay, no. It is going to be, as the title should say, choose your race. Now, I don't think there's going to be many people who watch this, because it seems like most people want to watch War on the Sea, and I don't blame them. It's a fun game. this game has many things. We have profiles here, and as you can see, this profile, so I was left, it says I've played only 22 times and one, that is a lie, because I didn't have this game on Steam when I first played it. And I play on my laptop a shit ton, because it's an old ass game, and my laptop can run it perfectly. And you got, well, if we're gonna play a game, you got two games. You got the custom and you got scenarios. Scenarios sort of follow the, well, some of the stuff follows the lore in sort of the stars, and some stuff are new. Like this one where the end of flesh. Oh, yeah. This one's a bitch. But we're not gonna be doing that. No, we're gonna be doing a custom game. And I'm gonna put on normal. I'm not gonna create a game, no. So ignore all these. Basically, what we're going to do, we're gonna ignore all this. I'm gonna click create, and I'm gonna do one thing. We're gonna be picking our race, and I'm gonna have a vote in the comment section. I want people to vote. Humans, Hivers, Tarkas, Lire, Zule, or Morgie. And each fraction has their strengths and weaknesses, and even then, this game is ridiculously amazing and it's so in depth. As it showed, I love playing as the humans. The humans are by far one of my favorites, and they're technically one could call the hardest of the normal. So I'm gonna read you some of these stuff. I'm not gonna do like the general description, i.e. human are air breathing. Yeah, we all know what human is. I'm gonna read you important things here. Basically, what they're about. Like the humans, basically the humans are, well, they're humans. I would read this, but I'm not actually gonna read that because it'll be too long. Well, no, we're gonna read it, and I'll have time steps in the bottom of where each race is. So, if you heard all you want to hear, then you can jump to something else. But I'll do my best to basically summarize these as well. So it's been long and hard stall. It's been a long and I'm not gonna read that. I guess knowing my reading technology, no. Basically, humans are as I said, the hardest of the normal. One could say. They have the fastest traveling. They have the fastest average all-around traveling speed on what they call node lines, and what they are, they're points in Earth and points in between two star systems or planetary bodies, and what you would say, that are naturally occurring, and they, well, can go right down here. Where is it? Discovery of the subspace. The first subspace traveler, Blaskly Yao Hangsing, was a solar physicist assigned to the Seoul Perma Research Station. Early in the year 2371, Blaskly was assigned to perform the first penetrating scan of Seoul's deep core using an experimental high-energy resonance beam. One of the station's hardened research pods has been fitted with this ring-shaped scanning array. The pod was launched from the station with Blaskly aboard to operate the controls, with the rest of the station's 18-man crew allegedly monitoring their screens. The moment that Blaskly's scan was initiated, however, the tiny research bell disappeared from view. It was no longer detectable by any means available to the Seoul Prime monitoring station. Fearing the scientists had suffered a catastrophic equipment failure or loss of power, the station quickly detached a rescue team to search for the bell in the precious scanning array, hoping to recover the man and the equipment before a decaying orbit could drop both into the sun's corona. After several minutes of frantic scanning search, Seoul Prime received a feeble signal from Blaskly's pod. The scientist's calm voice was heard from a distance over 8 million kilometers. In less than 10 seconds, it had been miraculously transported from a close orbit of the Sol to a close orbit around a nearby gas giant, Jupiter. the nearby gas giant Jupiter. For the next 2 hours, his team and solar scientists desperately attempt to find some means of reaching the rescue of their comrade. Blasky made a series of vertical transmissions to a nearby Stormwatch probe in the Jupiter's orbit. The full length of these recording of these transmissions is still played to first-year students of the node mechanics, which can be a highly emotional experience for those who never heard them before. As Blasky's probe slowly descended into Jupiter's atmosphere, the scientist gave a highly detailed account of his experience in subspace, describing the gravitational current which seemed to pull him away from Sol's orbit with blinding speed. He expressed his regret in having expended so much fuel fighting the astounding gravitational pull, and it's spectacular that his pod might have traveled much further had he not engaged thrust to fight the current which the Starstream, which he had the Starstream. Obviously could add no further detail to his description of subspace. He calculated the volume of fuel he had expanded in resisting the gravitational flux and the distance and direction he had traveled. His tentative calculation was that the force acted upon his ship had been gravitational pull of a nearby star, Wolf 359. Later experiments in subspace travel proved him correct, as Wolf 359 was the nearest node in Sol's subspace change. After carefully rechecking his data, including the high level of energy he had used to initiate his solar scan, Blesky ejected his data core with the ship's tracking beacon attached. He died several minutes later in the crushing depths of Jupiter's liquid hydrogen sea. The exploration. It was often argued after months of immediately following that the budget cuts which had forced ISA to place an unmanned probe in Jupiter's orbits rather than a manned research facility had cost Basically Yao Hastings his life. Basically, long story short, there's two different... You can use the gravitational pull from one place to another and travel faster than light there. And if you can read this part here is hilarious. This one, I say, Recent History talks about basically how only the legacy of him and mankind's suicidal past eventually saved them from when the Hivers attack. After basically they launched ICBMs, pretty much our arsenals, and pretty much destroying everything. It's Dreadnought. Damage destroyed. Only damage to Dreadnought. So yeah, basically they left, and we have no idea where they are. But basically, I love this motto. The motto of basically Soul Force is per ardua ad historia, through hardships to stars. The unofficial motto of humans in space is Requisium est Sincula, which is payback is a bitch. So yeah, and if you'll excuse me one quick moment, you're gonna get a small cut. I just had shawarma for the very first time in my life, and oh, that was delicious. But yes, we got done with humans. Now we go to the Hivers. The Hivers, as you can see, they are insect-like. Think of like, well, bugs. There you go. That's what they look like. And they are very, well, different than many of the other races. Basically, Hivers are probably the second hardest, maybe, in terms of skill level. When I say difficulty normal, when I say easy, normal, and hard, I mean in skill level. I would say like skill, like how skilled you are. Like if you're first starting the game, I would not recommend playing as the Hivers. Basically, they're bugs, and their technology is very interesting. Hivers, because they move through space using combination of slower than light and instantaneous transport. Basically, they can teleport. See, the Hivers, they have the slowest ships, but the strongest in the form of armor and durability, and have more guns than normal. they don't have the most guns, but they have around the higher end of just base weaponry, number of gun turrets on their ships. They travel. They have the slowest pace games. They're a turtling race, you could say, and they travel at first through slower than light, close to light speed, but not as fast. And when they get to a planet or a base, or I say a planet place, they deploy a gate which allows them to instantaneous transport ships, and the more gates they have, the more ships they can transfer through it. So, which is why they're easy and hard at the same time. Easy to defend because you can instantaneously bring a defense fleet if you can detect the ship in time. Hard because they are very, very slow, and they're also not the best when it comes to technology. So, are not insects in this? Yeah, they're basically large, and they're split. It's like an insect, a hive of basically a hive. They're a hive, what are called hivers. They have a princess, they have princesses and queens. The queen has basically overall control of the whole hive. I mean, they have it via these jewels. And you have the Hiver Prince. Where is it? The Hiver Prince are somewhat. Basically, it's like a hive. That's basically the best way to describe it. It's like a hive. Basically, technology-wise, that's what they're turtle. They're turtlings. They're slow, but they're very strong ships. Up next is the Tarkas, which are probably the easiest to play. Basically, Tarkans are lizards. They are of a lizard race. And they are a warrior race as well. So they're heavily warrior and war fitted around. They have your standard hyperspace, so they can move. They have the slowest of the hyperspace. The slowest of faster than light travel, they're hyperspace. So they're technically the slowest of the second slowest of the races. And their ships are well-rounded. They prefer head-on attacks, but they're very well-rounded, and they can very easy to learn, basically. They have your standard click around, and they're very easy to play. Their ships are well-rounded, pretty much literally the easiest. The second easiest, I would say, are the Lire. The Lire are kind of like dolphins, honestly, and have very telepathic. And they are the second easiest, I would say, next to the Tarkans, if not probably easier than the Tarkas. And their ships are really, really, really good, I would say. They are the fastest when it comes to traveling because they use a thing called a flicker drive, which pretty much a bunch of teeny tiny micro jumps and pretty much makes the ships have no mass for all intents and purposes. They have the heaviest of ships, but their drives technically pretty much make them have no mass. So they can do crazy, crazy stuff in space. Like if you hit something with a kinetic weapon, it'll send a ship flying, not a Lire ship. Which is why I use kinetic weapons against Lire ships, because they don't go flying off into fucking nowhere. They are, and they have probably the second fastest next to the node drives. Whereas node drives, you have to go from planet to planet to planet. The Lire can go pretty much anywhere, like the Hivers and Tarkas, so point and click and go. But excuse excuse me, what makes them different is the Lire, the closer to a planet they get, the slower they get. So in deep space, they are ridiculously mobile. And they can cross really, really fast. So the longer the distance, almost the faster they go. Because their drive gets interfered with when it comes to the gravitational fields. Their ships are the weakest out of all the ships in Sword of the Stars, but their technology is unrivaled. They are the best at researching. So a late Lire player or late Lire AI you can guarantee it to have the best of the best when it comes to technology and is on par, if not better than everyone else. They are really good at researching. So, early game, you kind of want to take them out. Or ally with them, one of the two. And then comes the Zule. These fuckers are nothing but evil. They are not good, and they are just bleh. They are a genetically modified, genetically created race of monsters. We'll just call them that, monsters. This is a male, this is a female. The females are the warriors, the males are the strategists. It is... they are... Yeah, no, the Zules are terrifying. They have the second weakest ships next to the Lire, but they have the most guns, or most heavy guns on their ships. And they also use node space like the humans to travel. The only difference is humans use naturally occurring. So in some cases, with the humans, there's a planet that has no node lines. And there's no way to get to it other than subspace, sublight travel. And then you are really fucking slow. The Zule tunnel. They create their own node lines. They tunnel through it, basically ripping the fabric of space apart. So they can move just as fast as humans when they create a node line. While they're creating a node line, I believe they are just as fast as the Lire, if not a little bit. Well, they don't move really fast in open space. So I would say they move kind of like the what's it called? The Tarkas, but faster, a little bit faster. The problem is, though, these lines, because you're literally tearing the fabric of space apart, are very unstable, so you have to maintain them. Meaning, and if you don't maintain them, you can lose an entire fleet in snow space as it collapses. Also, whereas other species, you can maintain a suitable world, Zule cannot. They always will destroy their world. They cannot have a maintained civilization. So a Zule is very, very, very aggressive. You gotta play aggressively with the Zule, and the AI is very aggressive. It is a bitch to deal with them. They are probably the hardest race to beat, just because they are so fast at expanding and just it's another after another after another after another after another after another. They are ridiculously ridiculous. And then we have the Morgie. The Morgie are really interesting, I would say. They use a very interesting type of drive called the I forgot what it's called. The Void Cutter. It's basically an engine that, once engaged, uses gravimetric forces to forcing to warp space and time around the ship to a point where it quickly accelerates to speeds in excess of the speed of light. Doing so, however, the engine appears to create a ripple disturbance, a bow wave of space-time distortion, which flows around the body of the ship and trails behind in a wake. This bow wave has several principles which Morgie shipwrights and pilots have learned to take advantage of over the centuries. The most salient of which is that other ships employing similar engines can enter in the submarine of the foremost vessel to join their own bow wave. Basically, think of like a flock of crows. When you see that V formation, That's how Morgie ships travel, with void cutters. And the more ships you have, the faster they go. So you're slower when there's one ship, but you're faster when there's multiple. So if you see a Morgie fleet coming in slowly, it looks like it's one ship, but they can then send a massive fleet in an almost instant real quick. Maybe 1 or 2 turns, not as fast as humans. Humans have the fastest, and Zule have the fastest, faster than light travel because of node space. Other nations, like the Morgie, can get that speed if they have massive ships. They also have some ships that increase their thing. They also have, I believe, the 2nd best in technology, or the 3rd best. And their ships are really, really cool. They are... You know what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them Morgie. Because their ships are really cool. Just look at this. Just watch this when I go to a new one. See, look how they move. It is really cool. Very streamlined, and their weapons come out like that. It is ridiculously awesome. Even the defense turrets, just look at that. It is so cool. Their ships are probably one of the coolest. Oh, and I guess you start... Oh, no, I must start out with stealth armor, but... Yeah, this is actually this grav boat here. A special single purpose that adds addition of gravity effects, allowing to move faster. So basically, this thing acts like 2 more ships. And it's really cool. Oh, so that's a colonizer. Very interesting. But you know, the Morgie ships are really cool. This is what the game looks like, but you'll see that later. But yeah, in the comments down below, pick a race that you would like to see me play. We got humans, Hivers, Tarkas, Lire, Zule, and Morgie. In the event of a tie, or there's no comments or nothing, I will pick humans because they are my favorite. I love the humans, and I just think they're the best. Or I might play as Zule, one of the 2. But yeah, this is gonna be a long one because I have. Do I have? Is it saved here? No, it isn't. Okay. But I had this massive game that went on for like 500 turns. It gets crazy. But yeah, again, in comments, let me know who you would like to see me play as. This is Too Tall saying thank you for joining me on this video of Sword on the Stars, and stay safe, and as always, have an awesome day. Deuces.